let's kick it off in episode 217 with the tweet from Pete Buttsex. There's two. I got one more.
I think. I didn't read all the rules. I just saw 3 somewhere, and I'm pretty much going with it.
So, Pete, and I didn't catch the date on this, but this was very recently because...
I hope, in fact, can we pause for a second? What if at the next rally, you hear and Pete Buttsex is, he's out here again. Do we get like royalties on that?
If you hear it and...
I'm hitting him.
If you hear it and Donnie doesn't give us a direct shout out,
he's been on some pretty like low budge podcasts. I think we might be able to get the Don. I know a guy that knows a guy, by the way.
Listen, and if there's one thing I know about Trump,
one part of my family would disown me.
Trump is a big fan of, clever names of his political adversaries. So I think that one's pretty great. I don't even know if
we'll give you this one for free. You have to come on the show.
We're popularizing it. Anyway, so Pete,
set it up.
I'm not burning my third one yet. It's too early in the episode.
Just wait on it. Just let it simmer a little bit.
Pete has this gaslighting tweet for libertarians of all groups of people because, and before I read the tweet, just a little bit of backstory for those that may not be paying attention to headlines and mainstream news over the last couple of weeks, which if you're not, good on you.
Probably
you have some former Trump staffers, several of them in the military, famously over the last couple of years. Mark Milley has been talking about how erratic and terrible Trump would be for a world war, despite not starting wars while in office. But you get the point. And then other staffers having other bombastic things to say about what Trump did or didn't say while he was in office that gives them concern or pause. And this past week, we had a former 4-star general, Trump's former chief of staff, John Kelly, comes out 2 weeks before the election, held this one close to the vest for the last 4+ years. But 2 weeks before the election, he has a sudden epiphany. He remembers that Trump once said in the White House, "I need some generals like Hitler had," allegedly. Again, there is John Kelly and the mouse in his pocket are the two individuals corroborating this story. And of course,
why would he make that up, Dane? Dane, why would he make that up? Come on, Dane.
Exactly.
Dane, come on.
Career opportunity if the other party wins.
Aside from that, what other opportunities would this afford him?
Probably not getting him thrown in jail when the tapes of him with Epstein's youngest associates gets leaked.
Aside from that, Dane, what other motives would he possibly have to lie about something as serious as this?
That's it. Money, power, and coercion for prior bad acts.
Gain of power, gain of money, and then getting out from a sticky situation.
Pun intended.
PD boy probably likes to get himself into.
So anyway, on the backs of General Kelly saying that Trump said this, again, to the corroboration of nobody, and other former Trump staffers saying that Trump's erratic, Trump's dangerous, Trump's a fascist, Trump's a dictator, Trump's blah, 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 all the same shit you've been hearing since 2016. Pete Buttigieg, not burning that third one yet, had this to say on Twitter.
You should say it. Should be the last word we say on this podcast. It should make him sit all the way to the last one. Anyway, go ahead.
He shares an article that is titled, "Some of Trump's most senior former advisors warn he could deploy troops against Americans." And Pete says about that article, he says, "Libertarians." I feel like he's talking directly to us, David. He says
he knows we exist. Wow.
He says
it took him all the way until 10 days before the election to remember we exist. Cool. That's cool.
He says, "If this is not a 5-alarm fire for you, then what is?" So David and I have some things to say
I've got a list
to Mayor Pete. David, I'll let you kick it off.
Top of my head. That's not a 5-alarm fire. Nuclear war is a 5-alarm fire for me. The price of living is a 5-alarm fire for me. The general indignation for just people that are normal and want to live normal lives, and you want to, shit all over that and tell them what they can and can't do. That's a 5-alarm fire for me. You not talking to us or not talking to the Libertarian Party for ever until now is a 5-alarm fire for me. now I'm worried they're gonna go and turn their votes to us because they think that I'm sure that in their little white ivory tower that he's in, they think that all libertarians are just 28 white males aged 25 to 50 that are gun owners. Well, what just came
we
out
check
this
a couple
week?
of those boxes.
well, we check all those boxes technically, but we're not the stereotype. Okay, there's others out there. We got a cup. We got the other races. Anyway, I'm not gonna say any of them because I don't know which one will get me canceled. But
all of them.
Yeah, I can't say any of them. Shit, I'm losing my point on that one. God damn it. But no, it's just in the week where it comes out that what population is Kamala not having a good time with, aside from all of it, but mainly there's one voting population that isn't down with the Kamala vibe right now.
Well, I mean, if you were going to say white men, I would expand that out to say
25 to 60. Well, yeah, men. I mean, just being told
even
Obama
was lambasting black men about not being sufficiently supportive of
and
Kamala.
Again,
so it's not just us.
If they came down from that ivory tower more than once every 4 years and actually took the pulse and walked the streets a little bit that are so scary, I didn't know it could be so scary out here without all these police and all these ethnicities. We got to get in our limos and get out of here quick, but we got to vote to help them out. It's just interesting to me that he would come out at this time and say that with Kamala doing so great right now that she's just going to blow him out of the water. It's not even going to be an election really, aside from all that problem of her not looking good right now. So now you're calling upon libertarians. Are you going to call upon the Communist Party of America after this point? Well, that's the Democrat. But
yeah, that slot's filled on the ballot. Dude.
Yeah, shit. I'm sorry. I just foisted by my own petard there. But yeah, it's more scaremongering. It's more tactics from the left that just doesn't. Again, just say less. Say you don't know a goddamn thing about the Libertarian Party without telling me that you don't know a goddamn thing about the Libertarian Party in one tweet. I think he won it.
Yeah, or
over to you, Dan.
Or libertarians in general, small L libertarians like us. And, for the non-libertarians in the sane space, we don't expect you all to be libertarians, and that's perfectly fine. We are a big tent here on WMD podcast. Just to, kind of throw out general broad terms for what it takes to be a libertarian in good standing in our view, or my view. I don't know if David wants to go sign this. It's as simple as the non-aggression principle, right? Do you, in your own personal life, and if you happen to go vote or engage in public life, exhaust every resource and opportunity available to you to make sure that you are not either authorizing or directly engaging in the aggression against non-violent, peaceful people? So basically, if whatever they're doing is not hurting somebody else, you are not in favor of laws that are going to infringe their right to do whatever the hell it is they want to do. To take this back to another hot button topic that we have covered frequently on this podcast, but to tell you where we stand on it. For example, transgenderism or the general LGBT stuff. If you're an adult, a consenting adult, live your life, do what you want. I have no concern for you and your lifestyle whatsoever.
Let's get freaky.
I don't think the government should stop you from living however you want to live. However, once you bring that down to non-consent minors who legally, by definition, as minors, cannot consent to anything, you are now violating their right to non-aggression because they can't consent to whatever it is you're doing. So that's why we would not agree with the transitioning of minors, but adults are perfectly at liberty to do whatever they want. The government should leave it alone. Very broad brush, very nutshellish. Libertarian in good standing is leave people alone. Dane. Don't hit people and don't take their stuff kind of thing. So now that we have our definition in place, back to Pete. Pete, my brother in Christ. Your candidate or your president for the last 4 years, your current boss, the one who made you transportation secretary, has repeatedly and almost with a, kind of demonic grin every time he says it, goes, your AR-15s don't matter when the U.S. military has F-15s.
We have F-15s.
Right? I'm paraphrasing.
I just don't know where they're at. I forgot them.
That is literally it's implying, it's not explicit, but it's almost like on that line to being explicit, threatening the bombing and or shooting missiles at or some other sort of weapon of mass destruction ordinance against U.S. citizens for exercising their Second Amendment rights. That's what that is. That's a damn near explicit threat from the sitting president of your party.
Hey, Dan.
And that's not even to mention, which we covered on this podcast, John Brennan, former CIA director, who said that he was going to put a whole bunch of people on a watch list after January 6th.
AOC wanted to do that.
And
AOC wanted to put the Trump voters on a list.
And it included libertarians, which again, I didn't give you the definition of libertarian to be, pedantic. I want you to refer back to the types of people they want to put on lists. They want to put people on lists who have the opinion that everybody should be left alone, provided they're not initiating force or violence against other people.
And I think we mentioned Nazis were pretty big fans of lists, by the way. So he's engaging in a little Nazism there too. So.
Exactly. Lest we get into COVID, lest we get into, sending trillion or billions of dollars, probably bordering on trillions at this point, to foreign countries.
Well, we know about billions.
To impoverish us and bomb people halfway around the world. All these things, right? If you had any idea about what matters to the audience you are gaslighting and condescending to in terms of libertarians with this tweet, Pete, you would not say such stupid and ignorant things, because there's a whole lot of things that, as David was alluding to in the beginning, are 5-alarm fires for us. This is just one of them. Least of all, just within this last week, the Biden administration, not the Trump administration, despite having 4 years to do it, the Biden administration
trying to kill their political rival,
authorized the use of force against American citizens. Biden did that, not Trump. So if you're worried about what Trump might do, maybe check the precedents that your guys are setting right now.
Yeah, that's an interesting one, isn't it? From the same people that brought you have to get a vaccine to be able to travel, and we have to have it. You have to have identification to be able to travel. You don't need identification to vote. Just throwing that out there too, by the way, with 5-alarm fires going off all over the place. Pipelines that, burst, that they say, well, Putin probably did it. Them coming out and saying, having government agencies saying that certain stories involving laptops are misinformation, but that we need to investigate somebody that's a running candidate that's running against running against Hillary Clinton. We need to investigate him during his entire candidacy. Doing illegal shit all the time. And then coming out and saying, hey guys, sorry, we got that wrong. We're really sorry. We won't do it again. Except they don't do that ever, 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 ever. They never tell the truth. And then you could show them a video of them saying the lie and said, why did you say that? And they'll say, that's not me in that video. And then push the microphone away, walk out. Hey, Nancy Pelosi, why are you insider trading? They don't even answer our questions anymore. That's a 5-alarm fire for me too. There, if we're just counting them up, that's all I'm saying. But yeah, Dane, it's kind of a be careful. I guess we've got a new rule on this podcast. It's whatever the Democrats are saying that Trump is going to do, or whatever their political rival is going to do. You can guarantee that they're doing it right now and they're going to implement it. And then if they ever get called on it, I'm sure their excuse is going to be, well, he was going to do it, so he did it first. It's his fault, really.
Yeah. Yeah, that's par for the course for these people. And, I guess the last thing I want to say about this Mayor Pete tweet is, I how can they? Okay, I'm not even going to ask how because they're not even so tone deaf as to not realize what they're doing, in the sense that, okay, Pete, you're talking to libertarians, or just, I guess, more broadly, anybody that isn't just in the tank for your side, hook, line, and sinker. And you've seen all of the mainstream media wailing and gnashing in teeth about this basically since 2016, about how people not in step with your side have lost all faith and confidence in the objectivity or unbiased reporting of the mainstream media and quote unquote experts in academia, et cetera, et cetera. And why have we lost that faith? It's because you do stuff like this. You continuously lie and gaslight us and don't never cop to anything you get caught on and stuff like that. So how, Pete, could you possibly, in terms of making the point of it should be a 5-alarm fire to anybody that these individuals, these unelected bureaucrats, former generals, have negative things to say about Trump? The same people that are running around either themselves getting rich, profiting off the death of other people in terms of foreign conflicts that are no benefit to anybody but their banking accounts, and that bragged during while Trump was in office that, you know, the nameless, faceless administration people that were withholding intel from Trump and not carrying out his wishes and all of that kind of stuff, these very anti-democratic acts of these people. Why would these people coming to say that Trump said this bad thing, or Trump has these bad intentions, or Trump's going to act like a dictator and all of these kind of things, why would we believe anything these fucking morons say about anything ever? And how would they be some sort of authority that we should just take to the bank and say, well, Mark Milley said it, Mr. I need less white men in the military because it's too white supremacy around here, and maybe we should get some more transgenders in the military, and that will really spice things up a bit. Yeah, General Mark Milley is the one that we're going to take as the gospel truth and the canary in the coal mine to warn us about the dangers of dictator
How's that working
Trump.
out, by the way?
You are so utterly and completely tone deaf, Pete, if you think that these individuals' credibility is worth a hill of beans or anything that we would pay attention to get concerned and be 5-alarm fire-ish about anything they say about Donald Trump.
And if you think, well, that's the problem. Is just the lack of integrity. If you want it, I don't know if this is a mic drop moment for anybody else, but it kind of is for me. When Kamala was at they called it what do they call it? They call it like a community, or no. When she was on with Anderson the other night, what do they call it? A town hall.
A town hall, yeah.
A town hall where the town was told that they won't be asking any direct questions, by the way. It'll all be it'll all be preordained questions because she can't think on her feet, or apparently she does most of her thinking on her back. Hey, anyway,
or her knees.
Or her knees. I'm not. Leave it there. Anyway,
and it's not praying.
If you
she told the Jesus people to leave her rally.
Yeah, she told you to get the fuck out. I'm about to do some freaky shit with Pete Buttigieg over here. Anyway, if it's not, she wants to build a wall thing. She officially wants to start building a wall, and she said that she's put in plans to build a wall to control migration. When I believe the entire Democratic Party made fun of Trump for trying to build a wall and stood in front of it and said how racist it was. And she did. Well, I was throwing her in. I guess
AOC staged her fake crying in front of it. Yeah.
Oh, it's so sad. And then she says, well, it's a crisis. It's like, you've been in charge of that crisis for 3.5 fucking years. And it got worse, right? And then it all just tracks back to, well, we had to fix what Trump is doing. And now you want to do the shit that Trump wanted to do? You said that that's going to fix it? That's just my mind. Like, you guys, do they think anymore? They don't think that they have to think anymore, do they? They just said, we'll walk out there, we'll tell them to drink Coca-Cola, and they'll fucking drink Coca-Cola. Bye. Like, they aren't even trying anymore.
I think it's not just lack of thinking. It's actually worse than that, which, you know, for all of their screeching about saving democracy and threats to democracy and stuff, one of the fundamental aspects of democracy is that the people running for office have to care what the people think. Even if they don't agree with what the people think, they have to at least care what it is, because the whole premise of democracy is exacting the will of the people.
Ah, there it is.
And sometimes the will of the people is not exactly necessarily in the people's best interest, in which case, in a functioning, healthy democracy, the people running for office would try to use persuasion to convince the people that, hey, you don't really want A, you really want B, and here's the logical reasons why, and blah, blah, blah. You try to convince them, right? That's what debates and politics is supposed to be about. But the strange tact that Democrats have taken recently is not only are they not interested in persuading the people to get on board with their no voter IDs and completely open borders and, you know, low or no bail.
They're just bludgeoning you.
Just letting cities burn in 2020 with no repercussions and all of that kind of stuff. Is not only do they not care about what your opinions are about those things, not only do they not enact the people's will as far as those things go, they have blatant and open disdain for what the people want. Because that's the thing about the border wall and controlling immigration, right? When you polled the broad cross-section of America before, during, and after the Trump presidency, it had a majority vote of people in favor of getting control of immigration and the border situation, however that may be. That doesn't mean that everybody was in support of the wall as a particular specific policy, but they wanted changes to the law and they wanted just more restrictions on immigration, similar to countries like, Scandinavian countries, which the left loves to hold up in all other aspects of society, Canada, Japan, just to name a few of countries that have much more restrictive immigration policies.
Every other country has an immigration policy, except for yo.
So
the whole fucking EU has an immigration policy.
The majority of people, Republicans, Democrats, Independents, were in favor of tightening all of that up. And Democrats took this tact of, not only are we not going to try to persuade you that that's not the thing to do, we don't care that that's what you want. We have open disdain for what you want.
And we're going to insult you for wanting
do the exact opposite. Right. And then when it comes back around and they institute their policies, again, against the will of the people, and it backfires in their face, now they have exactly what David was talking about in the town hall with Kamala Harris. Now it's running back to the center for them. They were so far left. Now it's running back to the center saying, yeah, I'll fund to build the wall and I'll make immigration more restrictive and stuff like that.
Words.
And it's just
words.
And then words. Pretend the whole time like it was their idea.
Right. It's words. If you listen to somebody's words and you judge them on their words, good luck having a real fucking hard life. You don't judge people by their words. You judge them by their actions. And they've had 4 fucking years of actions. And they're acting like they didn't do they're acting like, what are you talking about? We haven't been in power. What are you talking about? Like, we didn't do all that. She was bragging that she was the deciding vote on Biden economics. And then she said her speech that she nailed, by the way, said that milk is up 25%. This is up 25%. This is up 25%. So she thought that was a good idea to say, we're going to, as my cabinet's going to control grocery items. We're going to put a price cap. Like, did you improv that one? Did you just try that one? Did you float that out there because you were vibing and you're like, you know what? Yeah, let's get some control on this goddamn market. And you accidentally went communist for a second. I get it. Communism is fun. You know, free love and booze and all that good stuff until somebody has to pay the bill. That's communism, right?
Woodstock was communism, right? It's a flavor.
Woodstock was communism, right? Anyway, all I'm saying is just judge these politicians on their actions and not their words, and you'll end up in the same spot that we're all going to end up eventually. Is they're just going to bludgeon us to death, like, you know. And then that's another thing that I have a problem with their tact. They don't have any anymore. They used to have like words, and they used to sound eloquent. They used to give speeches like Obama. Obama himself used to give eloquent speeches. Yeah, he would go bomb other people in other countries, but he would make it sound good. Now he can't even come up with shit. Now he walks into a town hall and is like, I'll tell these motherfuckers what to do. And he walks out there and he shoves all of his fat foot in his fucking mouth and turned the entire voting. Let's say it how it is. Democrats thought that they had the black vote. And Democrats have for a long time.
For a long time, yeah.
A long time. But now, I mean, eventually your chickens do come home to roost. And you haven't done anything except for fuck them forever, pretty much. And now they're like, no, I'm not just going to vote for your candidate because it's your candidate. And he said, oh, well, it sounds a little misogynistic. And boom. Now you're cooked. Because now you just insulted the entire side that you thought was on your side. But you didn't know any better because then again, you forget about them every 4 years until there's an election cycle. And people are starting to see through the very thin veneer of the Democratic Party, and it's not good. I'm not saying the Republicans are much better either. As libertarians, we've got to call it down the middle. But right now, Democrats aren't looking good.
There's one side that is clearly and objectively worse.
Yes.
I mean...
And you'd be shocked.
Yeah.